Hello, listeners, and welcome to the 66th episode of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and on this episode, I'm joined by...
Dan.
Duncan.
Jack.
Jamie.
And John.
And we do have a special guest joining us.
Is that me?
Bryan, it's great to have you along for the ride.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Pretty good,
It's a good time. We're glad to have you on the show. Before we continue, we want to make sure that we thank the people who are helping to bring heresy content to you. That starts with our patrons. Check us out over on patreon.com for fantastic benefits like exclusive opportunities to talk with the chat, previews of merch, which might be available for the first time anywhere at Adepticon, and more. Likewise, we want to make sure to shout out sponsors of the channel. That's going to be Elric's Hobbies. Elric's Hobbies, where you can use code HeresyABB for a discount at checkout. Elric's Hobbies may come up later in the show as we start talking about some of our budget lists that end up down the line. Furthermore, we also want to make a point to thank Monument Hobbies, once again, where you can use our affiliate link and the discount code HeresyABB at checkout for a discount. If you are listening and you've used that code, we are aware of what may be an issue preventing repeat customers from being able to use that code. It is our understanding at this time Monument is working on that. Last and certainly not least, we do have a small segment of the show today that is brought to you specifically by Pop Goes the Monkey. We've talked about their bits off and on at various points, and we were fortunate enough to get sent some product to review by the man, the myth, the legend, Pop Goes the Monkey himself. And I believe Jack and Duncan have given that a once-over. We've generally been a fan of the product overall, so it's going to be exciting to hear about if they line up nicely with our new Heresy plastics. Otherwise, before we get too far into the show, we know we've got to start with the hobby progress. Who wants to kick us off?
Oh, I think I'm going to wait because I got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. You've got a little bit of event chatter. Dan, it's been a while since you've been on the show. What you been up to, sir?
I've been sick, actually. I caught a sinus thing a couple weeks before Christmas, and it turned into upper respiratory and a bunch of stuff. So I have been not able to breathe and focus well enough to do any painting. So my hobby is really, really minimal, and it sucks. It really does. The only probably hobby adjacent is over Christmas. I did get to run a D&D game with some buddies, a couple of people back in Michigan in my family, and we're going to be running that ongoing on Roll20. So I guess if you count that as hobby, I've been learning how to Dungeon Master on Roll20. And I built a new bookshelf, and instead of having a bunch of board games I've kickstarted lying around on the floor around my house, I have them all on the bookshelves now. So not a ton of hobby, but that's kind of what's been up to. But now that I'm registered for Adepticon and looking forward to that, we'll be changing that and getting into some game painting and building going forward. So yeah, Jack, let's go with you next.
Let's see here. Been a couple weeks, so I base coated almost all of the vehicles that I've put together. So 4 Land Raiders, a couple Spartans, Predators, a couple Vindicators, all that good stuff. All of those have been base coated. Also on the hobby progress, I've worked on my this is hobby adjacent, my streaming set, so that I can get back to making more videos on the YouTube channel. Need to get back onto that this year. And then played with some Pop Goes the Monkey bits. What about you, Jamie? What all have you worked on?
So, when I've been home, which hasn't been a lot, I have cranked out 3 Predators fully finished and started on another squad of 3 Predators that I'm down to just the sponson las cannons and finishing up weathering and decals. So like maybe another 2-3 hours. And then I've started building the final Sicarian for my Adepticon army, and I've it doesn't look like it, but I've actually done some cleaning up in my office, even though it's still a trash pile. That's pretty much it. Just a lot going on here at home and a lot of traveling. So, how about Duncan?
Oh, let's see here. I've actually been rather productive. The past couple weeks, I have got started on painting the Adepticon force. I've got the beginning. Let's see here. I've got 20 of the Angels tiers. All the reds are done. Their first shades are done. The blacks are done. The silvers are done. The second set of them and the first set of the heavy support squad, I've got the blacks done on them. The reds are done on them. Their first shades are done on them. I haven't put their silvers on. My squad of Dawnbreakers, I've got their reds done. Their blacks are done. Their first shade filter overall, the red and black is done. I've got a Contemptor who's got all the red on him. I've got another Contemptor who's half built. I'm currently putting together another Praetor because I'm playing in a zone game up at Adepticon, and apparently it has ceilings in the zone game. So that means that people in jump packs are kind of at a disadvantage, and I don't really feel like being at a disadvantage with, a jump pack that I can't use. So I'm building another Praetor. I've got 3 Apothecaries built. Their reds are done. The blacks are done on them. And I'm staring at a Leviathan that I kind of want to build and kind of don't want to build. But I'm not certain if I'm going to be able to use it for Adepticon yet or not. But the answer right now is a very solid maybe. Other than that, I've been fiddling with some pop bits. I've been fiddling with a lot of bits here and there. Yeah, it's been fairly productive. I will drop and punt to Bryan. What have you done lately?
Boy, what have I done? I have primed and built about 3,000 points for Legions Imperialis. I have a 9-man Thalek squad with phased plasma fusils that I just started building 2 days ago that are most of the way built, about to get primed. I almost fully painted my new veteran squad for my Death Guard with War Crime Flamers. I also have a 10-man Destroyer squad with jump packs that are mostly done, but as I discussed with Duncan previously, there's just something missing to them, and I'm still working through my brain on what I want to finish them with. And I also built up a console with a jump pack, a Moritat with 2 plasma pistols that is also mostly done that I need to get off my butt and finish. And I painted a bunch of happy trees.
Sounds like you've been busy.
Happy trees. You've been very busy.
Is that very busy?
I'd call it busy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no, I don't feel as bad.
Who's next? Is next Jake, or is next going to be John?
Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, not a lot to report on my end. I did receive from the fiance and her folks a Lego kit, the Mario 64 question block, and just wrapped that up this morning. That was a really, really fun build. Very, very satisfying how that all came together and how it kind of flips apart and displays. But that has kind of been the extent of it, unfortunately. I missed my loose hobby goal of trying to have my Carnival gang built by the end of last year, but went ahead and got a first demo game in with them today. Really, really enjoying that system. Pretty happy with it. Past that, I think it's really just a matter of trying to square up for my hobby goals this year. Loosely, I'm hoping to get about a model done a week. We'll see if or what it takes to make that a reality. But that's the hope, is that going forward with BattleTech, I'll be able to hit and hold that rate. I've got a little bit of tidying up on older models as far as like placing or replacing basing and doing oil wash for some panel lining, but that's about the extent of it. So, John, go ahead and take us away.
Yeah, so Not long after last recording, my wife and I were working in the living room, and I broke a cabinet. And I'm trying to move a bookshelf to try to track down some networking issues I've been having around the house. And that led me into the attic, and I found out that I have a critter moving into my attic, so I'm trying to exterminatus my own house at the moment. But because of that broken cabinet, I ended up having to rearrange my living room, and that led into you should probably rearrange your office, which led me across a couple bits boxes I forgot I had. And I'm kind of getting tired of having to move multiple bits boxes, so I kind of got everything sorted out and then started what I've kind of collectively termed the Great Purge of Power Armor bits boxes. I have decided that I'm going to build everything I can get my hands on to try to make these drawers close. And so to that end, I managed to build 6 apothecaries for the inductee Rite of War, 6 discipline masters for the inductee Rite of War, 20 special weapons for various other rites of war and special weapons teams, and about 15 characters. And then as everyone was finishing up, I managed to magnetize another 100 bases so I can keep going on some of the stuff that I'm working on. And then that's kind of everything that I've been working on, just getting it all trying to sort out. This past weekend, we had a kind of a culmination of all the different events we've done in 2022 and 2023 for Fearix locally. We've done a bunch of different kind of crusade games. We've done murder, we've done orcs, we've done a bunch of other things. And so this time we just kind of let everyone bring whatever homebrew Xeno list they wanted to. One of my buddies brought his Eldar, and then another couple guys. I think we had even split between Xeno and Marine/militia players. And so we had a couple games yesterday. For that, I decided to bring out the militia. And in getting ready to take the militia, I'd primed some nice resin bases that I'd bought. And I thought, well, I need to use these bases. So I tried pulling them off the double-sided tape and ended up slicing my thumb open. So to kind of start the day off in a great mood that way. First game was against my buddy and his Eldar. He'd been kind of building a pure anti-marine force. And so when he came up against nearly 200 infantry on the table, it wasn't nearly the shellacking he'd hoped he could give to a bunch of armored vehicles and things like that. So although the Banshee Mask in the book that he was using, whenever you charge someone undisordered, you get no reactions at all. So my giant blobs of infantry weren't able to stand and shoot or do anything to really stop them completely butchering everything on my side of the field. And then at lunch, we kind of all talked through it, and it's kind of looking like Militia Horde really isn't going to be able to punch nearly kind of what I was hoping to. Obviously, everyone knows how good Russes and all the other things are that are coming in the Militia book, and how you can really spam those pretty easily and effectively. And I do plan on doing that later, as Jack and everyone else was really nice enough to get me some at Adepticon last year. But there's really no way for just a kind of horde-based militia list to be as good as it was before. You're paying through the nose for a lot of the special weapons. You're paying through the nose for the artillery pieces, and then also the field of guns that they call them, the heavy las cannons and things like that. They're just so points intensive that it really doesn't seem that you can get some of the rebate that you expect on the battlefield. 10-man las cannon teams are wildly overpriced at
sub 300.
Yeah, 350 points for 10 las cannons. And considering that only half of those are going to hit on average, and with my dice it's not that good. And then 10 missile launchers is 300 as well. So you're paying more for the las cannons, but you're not getting that much of a marked improvement. The field guns, 4 of those is 245, and because everything in the list is T3, even the artillery and ordnance cannons are T3 as well, just suffering from the artillery rules of the way they've changed. I just don't see militia being able to do what I want them to do from a horde perspective. And I'm not saying that the book is terrible, or there might be other ways of doing it. I've heard a lot of things with cargo weights and doing other things like that. But I think from the foot slogging perspective that I've had before, I don't think necessarily that it's going to be as fun as I'd had it before. The second game that I ended up playing was against Necrons, and I just could not put them down. I could not, obviously, because most of them are T4 and T5, I was kind of fighting uphill with my strength 3 stub carbines, as well as the artillery pieces that really can scatter all over the place, and they happily did into no man's land. So I don't know. I kind of want to revisit militia, or maybe even upgrade them to solar rocks, quote unquote, and then just kind of run them differently. I'm going to start looking at stuff like that. So if anyone out there has any experience running horde of infantry, pre-post-human infantry, I would definitely look forward to any experience or any logic that would come from that. I really haven't seen anyone that's been able to pull it off quite the way I want to build the list, and that's just more and more bodies to throw at things, and I just don't see them being able to stay. I took the replacement hordes rule so I could keep bringing my squads back on. The problem being that that's only when the squad dies you roll a 4 up, and then you have to immediately place them on the edge of the table, and that's great on turns 3+. When you're looking at turn 1 where you barely had enough room to put everything on the table as it is, and then things that die have to come right back into where either they were standing a second ago or right where the artillery pieces are, it gets kind of annoying. So I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of running into a wall. Go ahead.
I will tell you that a 50-man inducted levy squad with the endless horde and something rabble where they get the hatred and all that, it is a very effective way to kill 5 assault marines.
That's what I experienced. Yeah. I had
not 6, just 5.
Just 5.
Yeah, I had 3 full squads of 20-man with attached discipline officer and stub carbines. So they're 100-point squads with attached character. Unload into 5 flayed ones, and I killed 2, and they're T4. And so they're T4 with a 4-up save and a 4-up feel no pain from the basically Necron rules. So I mean, when you're converting that into Marines, that's 1 if you're lucky. So I just don't see how they're going to be able to punch nearly what they could before. Whereas before I could run 2 50-man blobs and the artillery, and the blobs would tie things up. The other thing that was kind of kicking me a lot, especially with the Necrons, because they had the Scarabs factories going constantly, was if you charged a militia unit with 2 units, they could just immediately die or fall back out of combat. And so I think that triggered about 6 times in the game that I was playing against the Necrons. It was just the ability for them to constantly throw out new cheap units and to bolster other units and things like that. So I don't see militia being where I want them to be. So if anyone has any experience with militia, or they've got good ideas for lists that aren't just spam more tanks, I'm definitely all ears for it. With Adepticon today, sadly I haven't had great prospects for jobs right now, so I'm probably going to be skipping that this year. But if something does come out, I'll definitely be looking forward to carpooling up with a couple guys and open gaming, or at least bringing the Cobra militia to show off. But kind of as it stands right now, it's really kicking the teeth out of me for militia.
Well, that's too bad to hear. Do you have any immediate ideas or focuses for what you're hoping to look at to get a better gameplay experience for you?
With militia, I don't necessarily know. I mean, some people locally had mentioned the Solar Ox and then moving to the penal battalions. I'd originally kind of poo-pooed that when Solar Ox had come out and militia hadn't, because I needed to paint so many other models to even start looking at it. But because of the way the militia list changed, I'm having to paint. I think I've got 30 models on the table right now for quote-unquote Adepticon, so it might be worth looking back down that road again. But some of the guys there had said that, if you're looking for just hordes again, you're not going to find it with Solar Ox either, just because they need to take Dracosons or the Axe guys or Ogres or something like that to kind of bolster it. So I don't necessarily know that I'm going to be able to play my militia the way I like to play them again. So I don't know.
Well, put me
John,
down as... Go ahead, Jack.
John, if it makes you feel any better, I still haven't found anything outside the Ultramarines to play right now in 2nd edition. Like nothing tickles that like creative juices that, gets me to go, yeah, I want to build this, or, go back and, with one of my old armies and get that up to 2.0 standards. So I feel you, man.
I do not.
Yeah, and then I enjoyed the times I get with the Ultramarines. I finished the Knights this year. That was one of the resolutions I kind of did actually get accomplished, but I really wasn't feeling it with them either. So I don't know if I guess I'm just going to be a Marine player, and I don't mind that. I've got the Ultramarines for a reason. So see what happens.
I wish I had good input to say, brother. I hope you find what you like.
Yep.
Well, so that unfortunately does take us at least briefly to a note, kind of a somber note. We're going to try to make a point not to dwell on this too deeply, but we do find it worth noting that, especially with Duncan having referenced it in the last show or two, we started doing a little more digging after he asked if anyone had actually seen the Trader Champion in the flesh. And it turns out that model is seemingly MIA, and it's also not the only model or product that we have heard of through our various respective communities of going completely MIA. We've heard of a number of individuals who have put in for things like print on demand. I believe specifically it was for Gaunt's Ghosts that their pre-order was being delayed indefinitely. And this is maybe a little concerning to us in light of the fact that Games Workshop just published their print-on-demand pre-sale for Battle for Macragge. That had the Down Darvis lighter and like the squad, the tactical squad, and the Gene Stealers. And it's my understanding that those are still going to be the same old press fit sprues that those used to be back in the day. So with Games Workshop charging, I believe it was $250 US dollar dues for what most people regarded the most desirable piece of that kit being the Down Darvis slider. We're further starting to see not just the print on demands not showing up, but other releases are out of stock. They're staying out of stock. We're not seeing them come back in. This comes after months of Legions Imperialis delays. This comes after, it's my understanding that the last time we saw a product hit shelves kind of as projected, we were loosely saying was somewhere around Exemplary Battles or Siege of Cathonia. It's unfortunate. I've lived through it with some other game systems as well. For a long time, Fantasy Flight, now Atomic Mass, was notorious for it for their various Star Wars properties, that if you didn't successfully grab an item basically at release day through a pre-order, you could be 3 to 6 months before that item was back in stock again, just due to lead times on manufacturing. So just as a note, especially with Adepticon coming up, don't be afraid to, through our Facebook group or through our Discord channel, reach out to other members of the hobby and ask if they might have something on either their personal shelf or the shelf of their friendly local that will help you get your army projects completed, whether in time for this year's Adepticon or possibly next, not knowing how long these material shortages are going to run. Again, kind of a sour note, but trying to make lemonade out of lemons again. Reach out to the community around you. Some of us, I know, I've never been guilty of this, especially not right now, of stockpiling kits where it's like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to put one of those in my army someday. If you have a buddy who's got an emergent need for something like that, maybe it's time to help a brother out and get some models out of your shelf of shame and into combat. So,
there are a couple of us that are definitely, I guess you could call us hoarders at this point. So
Collectors.
I mean, I would never call myself a hoarder, but I would definitely say that I have at least 5 Marine armies worth of stuff sitting here waiting to be used eventually, and I could happily send it on to anyone who needs it. I won't even charge anything beyond what it cost me. It's just...
Yeah, I have a knight army and probably somewhere in it around 10 to 12,000 points of unbuilt models.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not even going to say how many unbuilt boxes.
if I understand
though,
talking painted and playable models, Jamie, are we closer to knowing when that Word Bearers army might be going up for post for Toys for Tots? That would be a great way to get somebody into the game, especially if they had been eyeing playing some of the worst of the worst.
Yes, I know when it is supposed to be done. There's been a lot of progress made the past 3-4 weeks by Bryan.
Yeah.
He's been given pretty steady updates on everything. I know in the past 24 hours, not 24 hours. I think it passed like 48 to 72 hours. He's knocked out like maybe around 40 assault marines or assault-ish marines. Like, he's getting close. Ashen Circle, and there's an Ashen Circle. There's at least one Ashen Circle squad and a. I think there's, if I remember correctly, there might be 2 10-man assault squads in there, but he's gotten most of those knocked out, and he's kind of getting down to the point where all he's got left is the Charybdis, which is base colored up, but it's not detailed out, and the named and HQ type characters he still has to do. But
and I'm gonna say this: the pictures he keeps posting in the Discord of the progress he's making, those are coming out phenomenal.
Yeah. I just to tease him, he's posted up some pictures recently of the Ashen Circle he did, which to me I think they're absolutely incredible. They're totally covered in ash, and he's really done a good job with some of the new Proacral. I guess it's the neon colors, or I can't remember if that's what they call
fluorescent.
The fluorescent on their lenses, where their lenses are like glowing through all the ash all over their armor, and then they look really, really good. And people keep asking when he's gonna paint them Word Bearer colors, and I just have to put my head down and shame it. Like you don't know what the Ashen Circle are then. Which people keep teasing them about it, but anyways, yeah, they're making a lot of progress. But Adepticon, that's when and where they will be up for some sort of dispersal. Let's put it that way.
Subject of
My little update about that.
Go ahead.
I found a set of the worst dice known to mankind now and in the future at my friendly local game store, and I just could not let any of my locals buy it. So there will be a set of Word Bearer dice for that army as well that I'm donating.
I did get contact from one of my old friends from way back when with 40K Radio. He goes by Chappie, and he is making a custom Word Bearer's dice bag for the army as well. Throw that in with the army. So
this army is going to have a lot of people going all out hog wild for it.
Yeah.
We sure hope so anyway, especially because it's for a good cause.
Yep.
But spiraling off that a little bit, since you've mentioned it is hopefully going to be going up circa Adepticon, and John's kind of touched around it, we are recording this show on Adepticon Day. Event sales went live today, I believe, and we will take just a little bit of time to do a little detour into that before we continue with the Games Workshop order and pre-orders for the week.
Some notes on it from Zach. So far, we have looked like about 4 different games sold out going across the various days, and then everything else has about 1 to 2 more spots left in it, barring any random one. Some stuff that I thought was entertaining is that out of all the games going across the multiple days. See here, day 1, we'll have 120 people concurrently playing Heresy in the hall. On day 2, we'll have 171 people in the hall playing Heresy. That does not count LI or AI or any of that stuff, Titanicus, because that will be in a different hall. So there will be, on day 2, 171 people playing Heresy all at the same time, and that just tickles me where the sun doesn't shine.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, correct. You'll have people like Dan that will be coming and going, "Hey guys, game with me. I probably fun."
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm gonna do a shout out to the Adepticon and C-Vent people this year, because unlike years past, where it has been a bit of a cluster screw, to where people made fun of it by making shirts that said "cart loading" with their
You're going to chase
spinning
it away,
ball.
Duncan. You're going to chase it away. Stop while you're ahead. You're going to chase it away. Don't say
I know.
anything good. Just
Okay.
don't say anything at all.
Okay, I won't say anything further, but kudos, guys. It was really smooth and really easy to get through.
Yeah, there was a bunch of us that were online today during the process to, the talk about what was going on. And the only problem that I saw was that there was some issues with people using debit cards, like to pay for their ticket and stuff like that instead of a credit card. And a couple banks were like blocking them. So I'm not saying that was on Adepticon. It was kind of more of a bank issue. And then I saw a couple reports that people were having some issue in Chrome, that if you had to use the incognito mode to do it in Chrome. So, but for the most part, there was very, very, very few snafus. Things sold out as we expected, just about as fast as they have in years past. I will say that the VIG badge going away to I don't know what they call the second tier badge now with the swag bag. People seem to be pretty happy with that, and a decent amount of people were actually able to get those.
So a couple of comments. Being able to have your badge shipped to you is amazing.
Yeah, that was a big deal too.
So now you'll just have to wait if you do an advanced badge. I registered myself and my son, was able to do it in one checkout account.
Yep.
But then I got locked out afterwards in Chrome. So I think part of their system to allow more people to get through, they built in something, and that's probably why going incognito let people do more things. It probably was registering and then trying to add more things. And there probably was a timeout feature where they locked you out after a certain amount of time, or after you did a badge, a cookie or something.
I used Firefox, and I got my badges for the group that I was going with, and then went back in to check it and make changes, and I didn't have any problems. But I know a couple other. I mean, I did see some reports of that, but I know the Adepticon staff was very, very quick to put out information on the Facebook page about what you needed to do to bypass that kind of stuff.
And like I said, I did, and to Jack's point, I straight up, I'm going to Adepticon anyway. I don't need to make travel plans. I don't need anything else. So I didn't register for any Heresy events. And I plan on bringing an army, walking up, seeing what's got open spots. Nobody was turned away last year. There were open spots for everything to play in last year. Some events got filled up to where there wasn't the day of. But I have no doubt I'll be able to walk in and play, and that lets everyone else who has to travel get their spot set up. And so I actually did that on purpose with that in mind. And then I'll make lists for probably every event and just show up and see what's open and play whatever's available.
There you go.
Looking for a lot of pickup games too. So.
Yep. We're going to have a lot of people up in the Heresy room, and I think it's awesome that we're going to be there as a group and see so many old friends and so many people playing Heresy.
Family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, brother.
So should I mention that we're doing another free poster giveaway for everyone who comes to the Heresy room and is playing in a Heresy game?
Sure.
I think we should mention that we're going to be out wherever giving out signatures on whatever day Wednesday.
Yeah, we should actually mention that. Apparently, one thing that Adepticon's doing this year is a content creator meet and greet. So that is going on, I think, on the Wednesday night of registration,
like 4 to 8, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But it's for content creators, YouTubers, streamers. Come and meet your fans and friends. Everyone else comes to your favorite content creators. This is a chance to start out Adepticon with some conversation and chill time while we chat and meet our favorite painters and hobby educators in person. I figured, what the heck? I'll see if we actually qualify, and apparently we do. So, huzzah! We'll be down in the on Wednesday night, I don't know how many of us will be there, but I know I will be. And I'm going to drag Jack there, willing or unwilling. So we'll be there, and we'll be hanging out with other people, doing stuff. I don't know what we'll be doing.
For everybody that shows up and mentions this podcast, what episode number is this? Is this 69 yet? 68? 70? 67? What number is this?
66.
66. There you go. For everybody that mentions episode number 66, Duncan will give them a hug.
Sure. Everyone who comes up and mentions episode 66 gets a free hug from Duncan or Jack.
No, just Duncan.
I'm just hoping somebody asks for my autograph.
Yeah. If someone wants to ask for an autograph, more power to them. But yeah, we'll be there for that. We'll be there for that. For all the Adepticon Heresy event attendees, everyone will be getting one free poster. We do have some repeat posters from last year, but this year we also have 4 new posters, all new, never before seen, except by our Patreons. So there'll be that going on, and of course the traditional hangout and consume adult beverages in the con. Normal Adepticon stuff.
Otherwise, with that mostly positive coverage of Adepticon behind us, at least tentatively, I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot more as that show comes closer. We did want to make sure that we talked about what went up for order or pre-order of late, and that includes a Heresy Thursday preview, the Legion Imperialis Titan Death campaign book. The Saboteur for Alpha Legion has gone up for sale. We got a leak turned official on an Old World campaign battle report. We're starting to see details circulating on what those boxes are going to contain, what armies are in, what armies are out. We have the End in the Death, Part 3. The trust us, guys, super seriously, this is in fact the finale, up for pre-order, as well as a peculiar bookmark. Was there anything else that I missed as part of those news items?
I don't think so at this point. I think that's about all of them.
Excellent. So that should open the floor for John to go over a little piece of research he was kind enough to put together for us. He went and listened to our 2022 retrospective show, and he's got some interesting notes on what we predicted for 2023, where we hit the mark, where we missed the mark, and hopefully use that to shed a little bit more light on last episode and where we hoped 2024 could go.
Yeah, so I want to say first, let's go through kind of the predictions / wants and things that we talked about, and then we'll go through, talk about our hobby resolutions for last year, and then we'll touch on what we kind of want to get done this year. I want to say we weren't that insanely off base as far as some of the predictions, and that's because we had at that point heard a little bit through the grapevine about some type of assault marine coming down the tubes. So Dan kind of hoped that it was Mark IV assault marines. Jamie kind of hoped that it was Mark II assault marines or Mark II breachers. Or maybe we'd even get some plastic named HQs, which, hey, we're going to probably get this year with some of the command squad releases. But I think you probably meant they're more like Raldoron and stuff like that, where we were getting some of those characters out for a little while. Duncan, you kind of hit the nail on the head with the Mark VI Assault Marines, but you thought it would be a Breacher Assault Marine multi-pack.
I did.
Get a World Leaders Praetor, which didn't happen either.
I know.
I was kind of hoping for some Breachers, but that didn't happen. And then Jacob, I'm sorry, you kind of took the cake. You were like, they won't make Mark VI Assault Marines. We just got Mark VI Marines in general. And then you thought we'd get Javelins before we got jet bikes. You did pull Exodus, though, so we kind of did get that. And you were right on the money with saying that we would get a campaign supplement at about a year. And so we did get the campaign this year. And you were also pretty good on the mark. You thought before the end of the year we would have Militia, Black Shields, and Demons.
Yeah, I missed on Black Shields there, although to an extent you could argue the take as many allied detachments as you want is a way to cheat playing, I'm sorry, not Black Shields, that would be more Shattered Legions. So Black Shields still kind of remain MIA. I definitely did not anticipate seeing a rebrand or a reimagined Mark III going to plastic. I didn't expect those before Assault Marines, to be sure. So that was...
Yeah, none of us really kind of came up with that one. That was... it was out of left field. I think we all kind of realized it's needed if we're going to start increasing the scale in general.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
Need more things that go together.
And to that end, I think some people were noticing that Mark IV has become a little bit more scarce. So I would, in context of that news and what we saw with Mark III, I would bet that will be our Battle Force style purchase before the end of this year. Will feature plastic Mark IV in the new and improved quote-unquote scale. I will still say I'm a little shocked that specifically the Javelin and if I go kind of the next step deeper than that, the Anvilus remain in resin. Now, admittedly, the Anvilus, I guess, is just an upgrade kit, basically, so maybe I shouldn't be quite as surprised there. But the Anvilus at a technical level might be their most advanced kit right now because it involves actively cutting and fundamentally destroying a plastic kit. That's not to say that I think it's bad full on its face, but rather that complexity and that task appears to be a bit at odds with what we've seen from them by and large. So I would almost bet that the Anvilus's days have got to be numbered. And I would love to see the traditional drop pod get adjustments. That's one of their oldest remaining kits at this point. That's not like, I guess, Eldar or Tau, but even Tau have basically, outside of their vehicles, had a full range refresh. So yeah, you're really looking at some of the aspect warriors.
Yeah, I think we wouldn't be too far off. I mean, kind of judging by what we got this year, right? We got the tank book and the inductee book really is kind of how you can break that down. I wouldn't be so far out of left field of thinking maybe they're going to try to shore up ZM and go with more terrain releases, possibly with Kill Team, and then lead that into Breachers and an Anvilus or Drop Pod. That way you could kind of streamline everything together and say, this is 2024 being the year of the boarding action or something like that. And that way you could kind of bring everything together.
Yeah, and what's more, based on what we've seen of their attempts to standardize of late, where, like, the Imperial Knight, apparently that kit has been in such demand that it's even shorted the 160mm base from direct purchase, which is kind of unprecedented. Past that...
Yeah, we never saw the Heresy releases of the basic Knight or the Armigers even because they got so popular for 40K competitive that they just kept selling out. So we never got those re-releases that we saw last year. And then, like you said, even the basic Knight bases is limited.
So I will float the low-hanging fruit. We also, since we haven't recorded since then, the plastic army is almost confirmed to be Solar Ox. What a surprise. But I would say, like, low-hanging fruit for easy releases they could scoot out the door. Non-zero chance that we see the Atropos and the Styrax and Megara moved to plastic kits. Since now they've got the base already done, or at least the chance that those move to, Anvilus style, here's a normal kit that we ship you, and here's a resin upgrade pack that comes with it. I would say that you could do the same thing, so as we talk refreshing the drop pod, if you got that successfully moved to a plastic kit, where you had all the parts you needed for the normal drop pod, and then you throw one or two extra frames in the box to go to an Anvilus. I think that's very, very low-hanging fruit there. Charybdis, I don't see getting a recut anytime soon, just like the drill. Even though they're big chunks of resin, I think those items are a ways out. And I think I would put the Dreadnought drop pod on the same level. If that was going to go plastic, it would have before they re-engineered the hinge pins on it.
Yeah, so I got some feedback that we were a bit negative last time, and I went back and looked at what we had this time last year as well, right? If you look at the preview video that we had, and this is what we based all of our views on last year as well, was we were limited for all the releases. They basically only went up until about May. And that was, that's kind of the releases we had. So last year, the only things we got previewed were the Marine Banner. Oh, sorry, that's this year.
Sorry.
So last year we really only got...
And the Marine Banner, in and of itself, while you're looking that up, the Marine Banner's a pretty low tier tease, and I don't mean in terms of it's undesirable or unwanted. It is desirable, it is wanted, but we knew, like, a year ago that Vet/Command Squad kit was going to be coming, what is that supposed to be, January or February?
Yeah.
Whatever they consider
so the
spring, winter.
Yeah, first quarter.
Yeah, the
Let's
only
call
things
it
we
first
got,
quarter.
Yeah, our previews last year were literally almost all resin. We got the Esoterrorist, the Demon Assassin, the Librarian, the Cerberus/Typhon, and the Jet Bike. And so if you think about the big releases there, we all really loved was the Jet Bike, obviously, and then the three resin characters. This year, admittedly, the Solar Ox is a whole army, so that lends itself to thinking there's going to be more releases, but we can only really trigger on what we've seen in the preview. And that the Marine Banner, there's a Scout Sentinel, which is supposedly an unupgraded version of the heavy armored Sentinel that's in Legions Imperialis. And then there's a Solar Auxilia guy with a banner. So, we really only have those three previews and then what we've heard through the roadmap discussion before.
There's other stuff floating around on the Solar Ox, but we usually don't go into rumors per se. So
yeah, we just don't know what's all coming out for that release. It could just be basic infantry and a Sentinel, and they just go good luck.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to defend our positions last time, but we're working with the information that we have.
I will say, if you look at the Legion Imperialis, that may be a good hint at what's in store for the Solar Ox. At least, if you're wondering style-wise what it's going to look like. So, and there might be other hints in there too. That's all I'm going to say.
Past that, do we have any other notes before we move on to our next segment?
You want to do resolutions?
Yeah. Hit us up.
All right. So, I think I lost brain cells last year or something. I was a little crazy. I said that I was going to get a Sisters of Silence army and the Knights both done, and that I would start on the ZM table. That didn't happen. So I ended up swapping around a bunch of stuff because early on in the year, Michael ended up hooking me up with a bunch of parts to build kind of another one of the dream tables I wanted to build, which is the highway table that I'm working on now. I will go out on a limb and say my resolution for 2024 is going to be at least finish that highway table, to have started ZM, maybe have something playable by the end of the year, and double the size of my Ultramarines.
Oh my God. How many Ultramarines do you already have again?
Yeah, dude, that's I can't see that happening, man. That's really, because
point wise or model count wise?
Well, either.
No, John, which way? Which way?
I'm saying point, but I'm counting. I've said painted, so all the stuff that's not finished painted right now that I have working on, all those. I've got 4 Kratoses, 4 Spartans, half dozen other tanks. That's all not counted. The 100-odd Marines that I have primed right now beside me don't count.
I was going to say, you got a Thunderhawk unpainted somewhere, don't you?
Yep.
So you could get a lot of points out in one model.
Yeah, as well as the super heavies and other stuff.
Trying to be positive.
I'm just trying to make sure John doesn't have an aneurysm. So
This is just
No, John
blocks of
is
legs.
going for the strategy of shoot for the moon, land among the stars.
Yeah, he is. I'm gonna do something similar.
All right, so okay. If we're gonna go to Duncan next, Duncan's last year was to have an Alpha Legion army list,
Nope.
start painting his daughter's Thousand Sons,
Nope.
finish his Sons of Horus,
Yes.
have a World Eaters list created and then painted.
I have it created. I have the stuff for it. It's not painted.
Finish the Alpha Legion for Corrin.
So technically, yes. I just haven't finished paying for it because I'm buying it from Jacob. So I'm going to count that one as legit.
This is the funny part. Like, we all had, for some reason, we all said tables. You said paint 2 tables of terrain.
So I actually have half of one of those tables done. The issue for me there is the actual table itself. Since the daughter has moved her workspace, since she's working from home half of her work week, she has come down into here. She has moved into the area where I was actually planning on having one of the game tables. So that has caused stuff to kind of pile up closer to the other end of the room and eat up more of the space.
Kick her out.
While doing all that, discovered that the table I had that was going to be used for this purpose does not work. So I've gotten with my buddy Corrin, and he's actually built himself a work table in his basement, and he's actually going to be building one for me for down in here. Once we get that one done, we'll see about maybe getting the second built if there's enough space, because it's going to be modular, so we could actually use it for gaming or work stuff.
If you remember, we had so Adepticon registration was earlier last year, and there was the whole not sure what terrain there was and limited space, and we're trying to increase options for how many players could play. So I think terrain and citizen soldier terrain tables was on everybody's mind, which is why we all had terrain on our list.
I think you're right about that. This year, I'm going to finish that table. Once it's built, I'm going to finish the terrain for at least one version table-wise on it. I'm going to, instead of finishing a World Eater army, I'm going to finish this Blood Angel army that was not on my agenda last year, but I'm going to have it finished for Adepticon. I'm going to get the rest of the tanks from a buddy of mine who has the tanks for the World Eater army. I was supposed to get those this weekend, but I didn't get a chance to get over there because of reasons. Jack, sorry about that. I will then I'm going to hopefully get the World Eater army painted this year. And I'm going to finish one Super Heavy, which I've already got partially built. And depending on how stuff goes, I may acquire a second Super Heavy for next year's Adepticon. And
I'm thinking it is?
It might be a 2-legged Super Heavy. We'll see.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're finally
Happy
building
your
and
new
buying
cat.
that Warbringer that you said you'd buy years ago for me.
I never said I would buy you a Warbringer.
Buy yourself one.
I'm never buying myself a Warbringer.
You should.
I just don't want one. What I do want, however, is I do want a Warhound.
He needs a friend.
Well, let's get him first and get him built and painted first, and then I can see about a friend.
Now, the question is, are you going to do the proper Warhound, the Lucius pattern?
Well, I want to do Sergala, or one from Legio Audax, so I think it would have to be one of those, which means acquiring one, because GW doesn't have those available.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to see about finding one somewhere in the wild.
Scratch building.
You do one, I'll do one.
There's ways. I think we know how to do it. We can talk about it later.
I think.
Yeah,
you and I can talk.
Yeah, we can discuss that. But that's the plan. Finish the Blood Angels. And when I say finish, I don't mean just the force I'm taking to Adepticon. I'm talking finish them up in full. Have a couple of tactical squads for them as well, not just assault guys. Do the World Eaters, do that table, and then one Super Heavy is part of the World Eaters, and the other Super Heavy, well, yeah. Oh, and I'm going to enter Sanguinius into this year's Golden Demon. So, there we go. I don't know what I'll do next year.
Right.
Maybe Horus.
Who wants to brave
Duncan, if you
their
do an
last year's
Audax
resolutions?
Titan,
Yeah, I will.
I'll do one too.
Okay, cool. Deal. So here's the reason that I say I'm going to do an Audax Titan. And I know that people can't see this very well because it's not...
Ursus Clause?
It's an audio podcast, not a video
it's an audio
podcast.
cast. Yes. I have a resin Ursus Claw that was made by somebody online that I purchased and have, and it scaled perfectly for a Warhound. So yeah, there we go. Sergala, Legio Audax, down with the Emperor.
John,
Cool.
I guess I'll go next. How about that?
All right. So Jamie's last year was to build and paint a ZM board for games with his oldest son, to work on all the Alpha Legion stuff for his son,
Yeah, okay.
to work through the toys for Tots armies, and generic Playmore games.
Okay, so ZM, most of the stuff for the ZM board I actually have right now. The problem is most of it didn't show up in my possession till like late December, which is just ridiculous. I'll leave it at that. So I have it, and I've started working on layout, and I had the Urchin, actually to try and get him into the hobby. He de-sprued all the walls and parts for the ZM stuff, and of course I did have to go back over and file stuff down because he didn't understand what I was trying to show him how to do. But he tried. He was better than John's paid help. Let's just put it that way. So Alpha Legion, never started because I've been coaching way too much soccer this year, and my wife is trying to get me to coach a second soccer team this year, which I'm kind of not up for. That would be my 6-year-old wants to play now, and my Dark Angels force is playable, but it's not ZM. It is it's like a Iron Wing armored breakthrough style force. But I have all the stuff for the ZM Dark Angel force. I just haven't started on it because I literally this year, family wise, has been very topsy turvy for us.
You, sir, have been touched by the plague.
Yeah, and I've had
some
Nurgle has
interesting
visited more than his fair share at my house.
That is not visiting. That is a full in-law suite.
Yeah, basically. We could just go that way. It's been pretty rough. So for next year, I know one of my goals is to update a certain super heavy that I have. It may be done in time for Adepticon. That's my goal. I'm really trying to do it because I'm very close to having the tanks fall finished. So that would be nice if I could. It's going to be close. And then I have another super heavy I want to get done for the Dark Angels as well. I have multiple Toys for Tots armies already pieced together. So like going forward, that's all ready. The White Scars is here. We're trying to get the Word Bearers done first, and then I'll get started on the White Scars, probably because I'll be up there with Bryan. We will be discussing that while we're up there as well with other people. But I literally have all the models in a box ready to go, and actually have all the paints for them too. And then so ZM. I want to build out. I definitely do want to build out a ZM force. I want to do 2 super heavies, and then I want to finish up the ZM, the actual table, since I actually have everything now. So I'm setting my goals low, but I just know with the way time is, that'll be good for me right now.
Aim small, miss small.
I mean, it's a reasonable statement.
Well, I just know, like, because I know I'll get in the spring, and then I won't have any time until like late May, and then. Same thing. I'll have like two months open until like mid-August to do stuff until soccer season starts again. So,
who's up next for theirs?
I'll go.
All right, Jack, you were pretty good. You said you were going to work on more Ultramarines. You were going to finish a Custodes army.
Nope.
Nope.
You were going to do a lot more 3D printing.
Oh, yep.
Yes,
Yeah, he did.
And you were going to visit more hobby stores because you were going to travel a lot.
Yep, did that too. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I don't think that's what Meatloaf said, but close enough. Goals for this year is going to be very simple. Probably 2 super heavies.
As opposed to the however many you did last year?
Let's not talk about that. And then one is going to be a Mastodon, and one is going to be probably something similar to what Duncan has. And then I'm not even going to limit it to one army. Get a second army capable of playing in 2.0. Just those two things. Paint 2 big models. Get another playable at 3,000 point army for 2.0. Whether that is updating an old army or custodes, because I've never done anything with those yet, and I desperately need to.
Do you have custodes?
Oh, I have.
He does.
Well, if you say you have
I'm
like
the same way.
if you say you have like 3,000 points of custodes, you literally have like 6 models. So
They're not that bad right now, and I legitimately probably have 3,000 to 3,500 points worth of custodes right now.
I think I got you some custodes and decal sheet last year.
Yep, you do. Yep, I'm staring at them right now, along with decals. Thank you, Dan. I just need to do something with them. I haven't found anything that tickles me. So, who else was on? Was Dan on that show last year, John?
He absolutely was, Dan. You were going to build a Blood Angels army. You were going to finish a Golden Demon entry, and you were going to do a 4x4 ZM table, and then you were also going to do another bunker table.
Okay, so yeah, I've acquired and or built but not painted the 4x4 ZM table. Blood Angels are not very far in, so that didn't happen. The Golden Demon didn't happen, and the bunker table. I've got all the stuff built for it, but I didn't do any painting on it. That's basically a weekend of airbrushing probably, but I didn't do it. Yeah. So this year I'm going to go, well, I don't know if it's low or high, but so I've got some 4,000 point pickup games for Adepticon scheduled with my Ultramarines. So I'm going to take my Ultramarines from their tabletop to complete. And that includes my 4,000 point list, also adds in Gilliman and Deredeo. So that's by Adepticon. Other than that, my goal is pretty simple for the year. I have lots and lots of stuff started, and I want to finish a bunch of that. So that the units I've already started for the Blood Angels, Ixion Hail, which was going to be my Golden Demon entry last year. It's finishing basing and a couple other details on my Word Bearers. It's just a whole bunch of random models, a bust I've got, just a bunch of stuff. So I just basically want to finish like 3 projects for every project I start. This is basically kind of my goal, and it's not all Heresy stuff. It's a lot of D&D stuff and just a lot of different models, and I just want to clear a bunch of stuff off that's partially done and complete it, more than starting new stuff throughout the year. I know that's pretty wimpy, but that's what I want to work on.
Cool.
So, is anybody left?
Jacob? Yeah, Jacob,
Yeah,
you
that's
said you
me.
were going to play games with Duncan, and you were going to build lists that made you happy with 2.0, and I know that the other one not so much.
The second one, yeah.
I have unfortunately missed games with Duncan. Hopefully that'll end up lined up at some point this year. Both ways, actually. Hopefully when I get the army brought down for Corin's sake, and as well as Duncan and Jack get to find this out for the first time here. I think I may have floated it before. Hopefully looking at maybe February for a Battletech day at Ryan's place, whether it's Alpha Strike, Classic, you name it. And then possibly again in May, I might be doing a Alpha Strike Win-A-Box event, or I'm tempted to go the next layer deeper and put a Gen Con badge on the line as price support for that. So that'd be hopefully a lot of fun. I do still need to touch base with Ryan and coordinate when we could get in there. But I'm pretty enthusiastic about at least trying to get to see you guys a little more this year than what I did last year.
I will second that. I would love to see you more and hang out more.
Well, great. Now I'm not gonna.
Aw, you hurt my feel.
I'll tell you what, if you come to Texas, you'll get delicious smoked meats.
That reminds me. The other thing I'm doing this year is going to Warhammer World.
Oh, in the UK. That's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, we booked our tickets already, so that's on the horizon for sure.
When you going?
End of May, beginning of June. I think the 27th or 28th to the 9th or something. I forget the exact time. So, and
Excellent.
Congrats.
we haven't planned the actual itinerary, so I don't know when we'll be going to Warhammer World, but it's definitely like one of the number one things that I want to do for sure while we're over there. So my wife and kid and I are all going to kind of pick our priorities and then figure out how to make it all work. So,
Well, I hope you have a wonderful time going there, Dan.
yeah,
it's definitely worth the trip.
that'll be trying to not spend enough money that I have too much stuff to carry back in my luggage is probably the
They do free shipping.
Yeah,
I'll
they
tell
do
you
ship
that.
back for free.
that's some good to know. Yeah.
Make sure you get a receipt because you may actually, I don't know if they still do it, but you may actually also be able to get the VAT returned too.
Okay.
They do it, but it's a pain in the butt, and I missed
I
it
know.
both times.
Yeah, I think you have to. Don't you have to have the receipt stamped or something like that, or I can't remember. But
As
yeah,
well as filling out a bunch of paperwork, both
Yeah.
I think there and at the airport, as well as some other stuff I missed.
yeah.
Or
I
you could
emailed
just
about
throw
it, and they
their
were
tea
just
in the
like, "Here's
harbor.
Or you could just throw their tea in the harbor.
Why not
I told them
both?
that their
It's a
country
bit of a
didn't exist
nuclear
anymore.
option, sir, but it checks out.
Yeah.
All right. Does that move us along? Does that get our hindsight as 2020 behind us?
You mean 2023?
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely
Well.
look forward to spending 2024 with my podcast mates and whatever fun may bring, as whether that's heresy or whatever.
Very much so. No question there. That, I believe, takes us to a segment being run by Duncan and Jack. This segment being sponsored by Pop Goes the Monkey. They sent us a little bit of a sampler pack of some product to review. What you guys think? What'd you get?
Ooh, so I'm going to go ahead and give the complete list of what we were given.
Should we do that, or do we just describe it, because that can get very
Yeah,
down in the weeds?
We were given a significant amount of product from Pop Goes the Monkey. The reason for this is several months back. I'm talking like almost obviously it is last year, but almost the beginning of 2023. I reached out to him via Facebook after an issue that went on where somebody had concerns that his stuff from Pop Goes the Monkey did not fit on the 30K models. It was just sized for Primaris, and they had purchased something that they thought was sized for 30K, and it didn't work. And there was a bit of a kerfuffle. That's putting it nicely. Well, he finally replied to me, and I understand why he didn't reply to me via Facebook normally, because he doesn't reply to Facebook most of the time. He replies to email. And if I'd been intelligent, I would have emailed him. But, no one has ever accused me of being smart, so I didn't. So apparently one time towards the end of the year, he actually saw my email or saw a message on Facebook and reached out, and we talked for a bit. And he agreed, and he sent us a big old pile of bits. And I stress, big old pile of bits. We talked about, once we do the review on these bits, we'd like to try to get him to come on the next recording, talk about his stuff, talk about himself, why he got into doing this, what he does, where he's at with the company, with what he makes and everything, and just pretty much come up with questions for him and have a good long interview, and then discuss maybe doing some of the other kits, because these are primarily bits for just Marines. So we're going to talk about maybe doing more kits from him for another product review. We'll see. But for right now, we got a lot of bits to look at. I've used quite a few of the ones I got. I don't know how many Jack has used, but I split the shipment fairly evenly. Jack, why don't you go ahead and take it away with the beginning of what you got?
Okay, so full transparency, I've bought his product before, so none of this is surprising. I know a couple years ago he switched from shapewear resin to what he's terming monkey resin. I am not a resin doctor, so I will not pretend to know the difference between the two of them, other than one's white and one's skin color. So
That
flesh,
sounds about right.
Canadian flesh shade, elvish. So
Is that Canadian or Canadian flesh shade?
all of the
Wouldn't
above.
you like
All
to
of
know?
the-
It's
All of the
classified.
above.
All of the above, buddy. As far as wise, well, here, let's go with the easy stuff. Everything came non-broken in the packaging. All the details are crisp. Everything, is what it's supposed to be. Like the worst that I had out of the stuff that Duncan handed off to me. So keep in mind, this went through a couple of different people's hands. Was some of the stuff popped off of the pouring gates. But everything was still in the Ziploc bags. Everything comes individually wrapped. The only bad thing I can say is that on the barcode on the bag doesn't have anything on the back saying what it is. But if you bought this, you know what you're ordering. Duncan handed me a menagerie of bits. Right now I currently have Imperial children's shoulder pads in my arms. They look great. They fit well. There's no cleanup required. Some heads with gas mask and tusks. They're even the little top knot on top of the helmets all made it through the packaging. Everything looked crisp, clean. Like I've never once had to worry about anything I've ever ordered from him not looking good. Sizing wise, I have some bolters in my hand along with some axes. I currently have a plastic Mark IV in front of me and a plastic Mark VI in front of me so that I can hold them up to it. They look to be scaled just right for the 6, and then they also look to be maybe a hair bit big on the Mark IV. But that's without actually taking it out of the bag and looking at it. Once you put it on a model and you paint it, I think there's not going to be enough difference in the scaling to be able to tell. Keep in mind, I'm old and I have bad eyes. His stuff always looks good. I took some time to look over his website because it's been a while since I looked at it. Oh, we just lost Dan. He still has a bunch of stuff on there. Your mileage may vary depending on what you're looking for. I know, and maybe John can help me on this. Was it like 2017 he got hit with GW, a C&D for GW, and lost a bunch of stuff on there?
Yeah, that was about the time that he was doing a lot more of the specific chapter and Legion logos.
Yep.
So while you may not find the exact shoulder pad icon that you're looking for, you're going to find a lot of stuff that you can use. The only thing that I saw that I did not like about it is on the plasma blaster. It was out of the 6 that came in a pack, 5 of them were modeled with hands already on them, and that's just a me thing, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm with you there.
So Duncan, what were your thoughts?
Well, I gave you a lot of the stuff, so I didn't keep a lot of it for myself. But I got chain axes. I've got some very, very unique looking chain swords that I think will work wonderfully, not as chain swords, but will work wonderfully for chain blades for Night Lords. And I'm gonna finish putting one of those together, try to get him done up eventually. The sizing on, I got some chain axes. I got some Kopesh kind of things for Thousand Suns. I got a pack of the gas mask heads. I'm gonna say the gas mask heads do work and fit in the Mark III bodies just fine. They fit in Mark II bodies just fine. I'm not 100% certain if they're gonna fit in Mark 5s, but that's because Mark 6s, but that's because I don't have any of the Mark 6s right in front of me to put them onto. But I do have Mark 5s as well, and I put them in there and they work fine too. They definitely look unique. One thing I've always liked is having the non-standard heads on models for Heresy. My Iron Warriors army has an entirely non-GW head for every single model, and I think they look wonderful. These heads, I think they would look great for Death Guard. I think they would even look great for Black Shields. if those ever come back about. I do have some Narthecium for apothecaries, and I'm actually building one of those guys right now. And the Narthecium, it's an entire arm assembly. You get basically a shoulder you can stick the Narthecium into, and then you can rotate it to whatever angle you want. It's got 3 with hands and 1 without a hand, so you can stick basically a bolt pistol on the other end of it. They're sized well. They're proportional to the models. They're not having any issue that I can see on them. I like the way they look. I like the way they're assembling. I've got a batch of chain axes for my world eaters. I'm not saying anything negative about the chain axes, so let me preface that with this. They seem to be, unlike regular GW size chain axes, they seem to be actually somehow a little bit smaller than the GW chain axe size wise. I'm not sure if that's just my perception of them, but the heads are actually a little bit smaller. But that said, the heads make more sense axe wise. They're more like a bearded chain axe, and I really like the aesthetic of it. It looks good.
So I got a couple generic questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you guys see any print lines or anything that's going to require a bunch of cleanup? Or these just take them off the sprue, glue them on?
So that's one thing I'm going to get to in a second. And I'll also preface this with, I've bought from him before, I've used his stuff before, and I've loved his stuff before, and I've never had any problems with it personally.
Because I've got some of his white shapeways back, because like Jack was talking about, and there was something going on with whatever mold release they were using back then, or something that you would paint the model, everything would be happy, hunky dory, and then a month and a half later, like it would recrystallize or something.
It would kind of seep.
Yeah, and it would like reshine, and you can easily tell when you're looking across an army, like, oh, those are 3D printed bits because they got that kind of seepage coming through the paint and stuff. Yep. So I obviously y'all haven't painted them and spent months with them, but I'm kind of curious, like, how is the quality overall and everything?
So we've had these now I've had these about 2 months now. I let them sit for a bit before doing anything with them because I wanted to see if anything would kind of become gummy or feel weird to the touch. And no, I don't feel any gumminess. I don't feel any weird kind of seepy funk like you would get for improperly cured stuff from a 3D printer.
It feels freakishly dry, if anything.
Yeah, it does feel a bit dry. It almost feels brittle, but, and I want this to be said, it's not. I sat here the other night and I bent the gating on these chain axes, and it bent without breaking very, very hard. It actually deformed the gating. It did not break anything off. I did the same to one of the chain axes, and the chain axe kind of sprung back to the actual original shape it was in. Oh, sorry, the chainsaw did. Now, the chainsaw is a little bit thicker than like the Khopesh style blades that I have here. So maybe that's just because of how thick it is, but it's the right thickness for a chainsword. But no, I've had no problem with it. I see 0 mold lines or print lines. There is the gating flash that you have to pop off, but that's literally a very, very tiny nubbin on whatever bit you have. And it's easy enough to pop off or just cut off or whatever else you want to do with it.
The only thing that I have seen any type of lineage on is the shields, and it looks like layer lines from the initial 3D print.
See, that's more than I've seen.
And I literally had to pop on my glasses to even tell. If once you put a layer of paint on it, I severely doubt you'd be able to tell.
Now I'm going to say this about these the apothecary bits, because I've got them here under this wonderfully bright LED lamp. The drill section is great. The actual serrations on the chain blade part are wonderful. It's got the medic hex or helix going down it. Looks good. It's smooth. The points are pointy, and they don't easily pop off when you touch it, which is one thing that's always been a concern with a lot of the resin stuff out there, is that it easily breaks. This hasn't been, and I've been sitting here fiddling with it more than just tonight. Overall, I am absolutely 100% satisfied with all these bits that I've received. And I will get pictures of the apothecaries put up when I get done with them, and I'll get pictures of the Night Lord stuff when I get done with that. I also got something that Jamie will appreciate for when we work on the White Scars list. I got a pack of what I would consider White Scars Lightning Bolt Cataphractii shoulder pads. And these are perfectly sized for regular Cataphractii shoulder pads.
Sweet.
Is it both pads at the same time, or is it one?
It's both pads. So you get 10 pads, one for the left and one for the right. So the Cataphractii
pads are layered. There's a top pad and a lower pad.
Yep, and so are these. So you you have enough of a gap in there that you can easily get a brush in there and get the actual paint inside of it if you wanted to paint it something different once you'd airbrushed it or based it or whatever.
Yeah, I can chase that point. I got some of his Scarab Legion Cataphractii pads, and it was the same way. So the under pad is molded together with the upper pad, but there is enough room for you to paint it. It will require brushing that inner layer, and so if you prefer to airbrush both layers, these may not be the perfect product for you.
Yeah, it's just something to think about when you're looking at, I know the old Forge World weapon arms had the bottom pad molded to it. So if you're looking at some of the older sets, you're going to have to figure out which one works best for you. If you're building the plastic ones or you're building new resin ones, those are separate, and so those are going to be a little easier on you.
I'm also sitting here having just glued a regular bolt pistol hand to the one Narthesium pad or hand that doesn't have a hand on it. That's a tight bond. It's not sloppy. It's not coming apart, and that's just with a dab of super glue. And it looks 100% proportional. The hand, the wrist lines up perfectly. It doesn't have overlap. It fits in the gap you need. Yeah. It's good in my opinion. Give me a second and I'll.
And I know historically speaking, all the stuff that I bought, I have Death Guard shoulder pads, Alpha Legion shoulder pads, Alpha Legion power daggers, and historically speaking, they've all been great. The power daggers are still daggery
Dewey.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, one thing I will say is I do have an actual pack of his sniper bolter rifles that are the clear resin that I've had for about 2 years now. I have not used all of them. I've still got 4 left. These hands on this other pack that he did not send me today, or he did not send to us in this, are a different size hand-wise. And it's noticeably so. They are noticeably like Terminator size or Primaris size. That is not the case with these axes. With these swords, they are very visibly a different size hand. And these hands are lining up way, way, way more with the stuff that we want them to line up with. I would say that getting this would be a win bits-wise for getting and converting stuff if you can't find what you want from GW, or you want something that looks different, unique, and in some ways better. Because there's no mold line on these at all. I don't see a single one on any of the bits I've got here in front of me. The shoulder pads don't have the striations of the 3D print on the top or on the bottom. The sides of the blades don't have anything. There's nothing on the pommels. There's nothing on the hands. These are perfectly sized for 30K, in my opinion.
Any questions from anything y'all want us to look at specifically?
No issues priming or anything like that to y'all's knowledge or that you've run into?
I haven't painted any of the new stuff. Historically speaking, no. Duncan?
I mean, I've had stuff from like way back in the day. I was just wondering, like, as John kind of brought up, like the mold release.
So I do have one bit that I actually have primed. I stuck it on an arm and I primed it black, then I primed it gray, or to go over that, because I'm using it for a World Eater character. And nothing's coming off on my finger. It feels...
Can you tell from the primer?
Yeah. Can I tell it's 3D printed from the primer? Can I tell it's different than a regular GW or Forge World bit from a primer?
Yep.
No. I really can't. Except, and this is something I want to point out, if I compare this to one of like the regular resin bits that we get from Forge World or GW, it's not off kilter. It's not bent. It's not warped. It's the right angle. Yeah, it's the right angle, and it looks. We compare it to a body. Hold on. You really can't tell at all. I'm golden with it. 100% golden with it.
Sweet.
And the dryness that Jack referred to with the stuff, once it's primed, it doesn't feel like it's still dry. It just feels like a bit.
Okay.
So you don't have any weird feel to it either. And I primed that beginning of December.
Let me know if you all, the gentle viewers, would like a video going over some of these bits, painting some of the bits, and some thoughts about that.
Actually, I will go ahead and say yes, Jack. I think that would be a wonderful idea if we did that.
Yeah, I think we need a video.
I got you, buddy.
I think that would be a wonderful idea to get that done.
Well,
For
in that
no
case,
other
I
reason
have
than Jack's dulcet tones on my fall asleep playlist.
Yes. Does anybody else have any other questions about them?
Did they give you any of the cool combi grenade launchers?
No, but I do have a set of the combi plasmas that go on to a combi bolter for cataphracti, but I've had those for a while, and they're the white plastic, or the white resin, so I can't really speak to anything about this new batch from them.
I have a lot of Volkite.
How are those?
Chum chum, baby. Chum chum.
How do those look?
The Volkite look like Volkite. Like
Okay.
literally like that's the best thing I can say about anything is they look like exactly what they're supposed to be.
Well, sweet.
There we go. I think that about sums up our review. If you're looking for recommendations from us on bits, Jack, would you say recommend or not?
If this is the means you have of getting bits, yes.
Okay.
Like it's they're good bits. You know exactly what you're going to get. The pictures match what you're going to get. You don't have to do anything extra. Yeah.
Oh, and I'll point this out. The bit that I did paint, I didn't have to clean. I didn't scrub it. I didn't wash it.
Are you supposed to do that with resin bits?
Sometimes.
Sometimes it depends on if they use mold release or not.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't washed a resin kit since 1872.
So, like Forge World, legit Forge World, yeah. If you don't wash it, you could end up with some problems.
I just lick it. It tastes delicious.
Joke's on you. I've washed Forge World and I still have spots where primer won't cling to it.
True. That's why usually with legit Forge World, I use automotive primer that will adhere to chrome. So,
I'll be honest. I haven't used any primer on stuff for a long time, or cleaning any stuff for a long time. But I know that a lot of people have had that issue, and I wanted to make mention that.
Yep. No,
nothing here.
Good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
The only adhesion issue I've had in the past 3 years has been I had a bottle of airbrush primer that had settled out enough over time, and I didn't give it enough agitation that I had blown most of the paint half out, and I must have had more of the other parts left over, and it would cause the paint to bead off like a freshly waxed car.
I've had that actually recently with like aerosol primer, where it kind of like just didn't mix really well, and it kind of like parts of it would bead off.
Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of in the same boat with Jack here. If you have these as an option and you are wanting to get bits, you could do a lot worse than going through Pop Goes the Monkey. I would recommend them. I'd say the bits are good. The bits are quality enough to where they'll actually look good on a mini. They'll stand out on a mini.
For what it's worth, what was your, dare I say, like turnaround time on an order? It's probably prudent to ask that kind of a question, given current year problems.
So regarding turnaround time, these were ordered by him and sent to me, and we had them about a week after he ordered them for us, and he put them through the system, and they showed up.
That's pretty nice. Admittedly, like that doesn't account for if he put you at the front of the line or got you expedited shipping, but
nope. It actually shows on the email. It shows exactly how he ordered the shipping.
Oh, super cool.
and it is done as the generic free shipping that is offered through his store.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
that's
better
pretty.
than some eBay sellers sometimes.
Yeah, not just eBay sellers. I'm thinking some of the popular bit sites overseas, like what is that, Cromlech, Puppets War. I know people used to go to for bits at times. Sometimes, understandably, international shipping gets real complicated. So, for those of us located in the continental U.S., that's a pretty nice turnaround.
Yeah, so I've ordered from those companies you're referring to, and yes, they can be slow. This was not slow. This was literally he put the order in the system. A week later, this very nicely wrapped, very nicely packaged bunch of stuff was here. And I will give a shout out to the packaging because that was really well done, because it was not a concern at all. Everything was wrapped tight and safe. So yeah, if you're looking at bits and you need bits, give Pop a look. They're the 30K stuff that is sized 430K, that all says 430K, or for original Marines. Yep, it's quality. Get to it. Grab some.
You know, I'm gonna kind of go off that. So those shoulder pads that I ordered, those had like not purity seals that were supposed to hang down from the actual Cataphractii shoulder pads. A couple of them showed up having like dropped off the sprue, but none of them showed up actually broken or damaged. And given how small a mold point was on those, definitely seems like overall shipping and packaging has remained a high quality point for them.
Yeah.
The connection point for all the items to the gate is very minimal. So there's very minimum cleaning there. I will give it that.
Yeah.
Did you guys find that it cut nicely when the time came?
I'm using clippers, so I don't know if it cuts nicely or not, but it clipped clean and it clipped easy. And unlike with a lot of generic 3D printed stuff where you have, like, when you clip it after it's been cured, it shatters a bit, I didn't have that. I had
and so it didn't like tear and it didn't like shatter. That's the two
I'm
not two ends of the spectrum.
And I'm not using God hands. I'm literally right now using a 10-year-old set of Army Painter clippers that are definitely showing their age and are getting dull. And there was no issue there at all.
I had none either.
So.
All right. So we wanted to make sure, in light of having gotten the Astartes battle groups at the end of last year, or maybe the better way to talk about that would be fourth quarter, we wanted to take a brief moment to revisit our Heresy on a Budget series, and not just revisit it, but try to revisit it for those of you who may be coming into the hobby new and fresh, or looking for a change of pace, and specifically we wanted to make a point to not do Sons of Horus and Imperial Fists. And that meant that we decided to circle back and revisit really the first Heresy plastics, and we cooked up a couple of Word Bearers versus Ultramarines lists. We didn't have super strict guidelines on this, but I think, based on what I was hearing from you guys in chat, both of the lists, or all the lists we cooked up, come in right around the $700 sticker price. Is that about right, plus or minus some trading or bit swaps or picking up some third-party bits? And that's mostly at sticker price. That's not counting if your friendly local has discounts or use discount codes at certain vendors.
I did the GW price, and then I priced it out with Amazon in addition to the stuff that you can only get through GW. So I have both prices totaled out and the breakdowns for them on my list. My Word Bearers list is a little bit more expensive than my Ultramarines, but if you go with the Amazon price, they're both, well into these, the range. And I know we got some flack the last time because I remember we were at Adepticon and we did get some feedback from people when we were there saying that the lists that we did were not budget. And so I want to put this asterisk on these lists. They're not cheap. Okay, there's not a way around it other as Jacob said, like unless you have hookups with the friendly local game shop, or like you have some sort of good deal through a vendor or Amazon. I don't want people to think like this is back in the days of Battle for Calth that you're getting one of these boxes for $60 to $100. It's not reasonable. I mean, like we all know there's ways to do it, but like legit store wise, there's not a quote unquote budget like what people would consider from back in the old days of starting like a Heresy army for like $100 to $150.
Well, and I think
I see that look from on your face, but as I'm saying, legit wise. So.
I think it's also worth indicating that as we've tried to brew up or build out these lists, we're trying to make sure that we're leaving you both in a position to enjoy playing the game today and to have reasonable room to grow tomorrow. We're not trying to put you in a position where we're like, well, it turns out that if you buy this Deathwing command box, or like, and that's going to kind of give away how long I've been in the game, where it's like, oh yeah, we've got this Deathwing speeder and these 6 regular bikes and this 1 attack bike. Like, we're going to use 40k plastic bikes to get you into White Scars cheap. We're trying not to do that. We are trying to set you up to be integrated into the community instead of investing in a lot of models that, while they will let you play the game, will ultimately leave you wanting.
Yeah, I'll go with that. That's good.
Who wants to run us through our first list? Let's go ahead and start with the word bearers just to get them out there. I believe that they'll be a little less appealing to us, not like mechanically, not in how the list functions, but just I know how to read the room and the room's general opinion on one Erebus.
Okay, I'll if no one else wants to do it, I'll go ahead and start. So how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do the army list breakdown, or do you just want me to go through like what I got?
Let's look at a list breakdown. Just kind of the major points.
Okay, so I tried to use basically on the 2 lists that I built as much as I could from both the starter box and the battle force, which the battle forces are still technically available if you're trying to get into an army at a later date. That may not be the case, but so take that in mind. So I have a Centurion. This is Word Bearers. I had a Centurion as my Warlord. Was going to use one of the guys from the starter box. The Warlord rule was enslaved by darkness and basically tainted weapon with an axe and plasma pistol. Legion Rite of War was the I'm trying to remember which one it was. Was it enslaved by darkness? No, that was Warlord. Where is it? I had it. 1 second. Sorry. I'm gonna move on from that. Anyways, I had a Diabolus just as an independent character. Volkite Serpina and a force weapon sword. So pretty basic model. Then I splurged on a Forge World model and got the new Esoterist with Etheric Lightning, Breach Veil, and Tainted Weapon, Power Maul, and a Plasma Pistol with the Warp Fire upgrade. Then I did a 10-man tactical squad. Pretty basic with a tactical sergeant. The only thing I really did to him was Artificer armor with a tainted axe and Warp Fire pistol. And then they're in a Land Raider Proteus from the Battle Force. Then I doubled that exact same squad up and had the second Raider Proteus, which I bought ad hoc. Not for the army, but like saying I bought a second box, just a Land Raider Proteus. Then I had a 10-man Inducti squad of Word Bearers with their crazy, like semi-possessed demon stuff. They're just the base squad. It was a 10-man on foot. And then the sergeant was with them. We had a plasma pistol and a Churnaball Tabar. And then I doubled that squad up, so that's 20 total Inducti. Then I did a 5-man tactical support squad with rotor cannons, because you get a 5-man sprue of support weapons in the Battle Force box. Nothing special other than except on the sergeant, I had warp fire pistol and artificer armor with a power maul, and then I had a second tactical support squad with plasma guns, so that you can upgrade them all to warp fire blasters, and then the sergeant was the same as the first. So that's 2 5-man tactical support squads. Then I had a 10-man Cataphracti Terminator squad. I'm not going to go into all the stuff in it, but they're pretty well equipped, and they're in a Land Raider Spartan, so that's both from the starter box. And then I had a Contemptor Dreadnought with a Gravis Melta and Gravis Power Fist. With the warp fire blaster because you can upgrade it with the plasma. And then I had a 10-man heavy support squad with basically their warp fire cannons, so they're big plasmas. Nothing special on the sergeant other than artificer, and the squad had augury scanners. And then I did a second 10-man heavy support squad with las cannons and augury scanner. Nothing really special on the sergeant other than artificer armor. And then I had the last remaining unit from both boxes was a Dorado Dreadnought. Originally I had las cannon, and then I remembered that the las cannon's not on the plastic Dorado, so I changed that over to the auto cannons. So that's my list. This is way over 3,000 points from basically what I built out. Right now, as it sits, the point total that I have is 3642. So that gives you a lot of points to go with from literally basically 2 boxes and a Land Raider Proteus. So if you want the breakdown of what all I got, the breakdown I got is an AOD starter box, the Battle Force box, a Land Raider Proteus, a heavy weapon plastic upgrade screw with the plasma weapons, then a heavy weapon las upgrade for the plastic, the Forge World Esoterist, then a Wordbearer transfer sheet, and then 3 despoiler upgrade sprues. And you will have a lot left over for the heavy weapons options if you wanted to do another squad for them, and then you also will have enough parts to make a non-jump pack assault squad too from the despoiler Forge World upgrades. The total was 875 straight on. Cash wise from GW, if you go the Amazon mixed with GW route, the total was 767.82. So you save little over $100 by going through Amazon instead of just straight through GW.
So
very nice.
That works. That absolutely works.
Yep. I took a little bit different approach to this. I decided that I was gonna beg, borrow, cheat, and steal the whole entire way through without going to my baser instincts. So World Bears highlights Librarian, Praetor, 2 task squads, 10-man Terminator squad, 2 heavy weapon squads, a Spartan, a Contemptor. The flavor on it is Ashen Circle and Galv Warback. And I get all of this for under $500. Thanks to the power of eBay.
Interesting.
That's an interesting way of doing it.
So I know Jacob said to begin with that we weren't, getting you with, random 40K bits. Rhinos with the tax squads. I have receipts for this, much like Cat Williams with everybody in Hollywood. 2 rhinos for $33 on eBay at the time of me doing this. So that would have been an immediate buy for me. Also on eBay, and this may be the most controversial thing on here, 2 boxes, 2 5-man boxes of Chaos Space Marine Raptors, because they're chaosy, but they're not too chaosy.
Well, it depends on which Raptors, because there's 2 versions of them.
These are the non-really chaosy versions that I.
So the older ones.
older
Because
ones, yeah.
The newer ones are like straight up like, yeah, they're
No, I double checked the models on them. There's very minimum scraping you have to do on them. And in my head, this would be a late Heresy Army. Yeah, late Heresy Army.
Well, you got Gal Vorback, so yeah.
Yeah. And then for the Gal Vorbacks, do you remember the mutated Marines from Dark Vengeance box set?
Yeah.
Those are my Gal Warback. And I got all of this for around $460. So, and that gives you a 3,000 point list without really doing a lot of anything else to it. And not adding on extra stuff, just be adding on extra stuff. The only thing that I would change on here is the 10-man Counterfactory squad, but that's just because I'm not a fan of them.
Well, I'm not a fan of them either, but I was just trying to use what I had. So
yeah, but you take out the Rhinos and the Counterfactory squad, and certainly you have yourself a Zone Mortalis list.
Nice, yeah.
So now I feel dirty, so I'm going to delete everything and never write this again.
So
you might have a lot of 99% isopropyl alcohol in your household, so it's very easy to clean up.
I may be drinking it all.
I'll go ahead and go. I absolutely straight up forgot that we were supposed to do Word Bearers or Ultramarines on this. Mm-hmm. And so instead I did Night Lords because I decided I was going to do Night Lords. I don't know why. I just did it. That was my bad. Mea culpa.
We're drinking.
Mea culpa, my bad. I'm sorry. But using generic GW prices on this list, my total came to right around 742, 745. I did use a regular Age of Darkness box, and I incorporated the Legion of Astartes battle group as well. I did do bits trading. I got rid of the Deredeo. I traded it straight across for another Contemptor. And I traded the Cataphracti and the some of the other bits and pieces, including the actual Land Raider in there in the battle group, to swap for Tartaros Marines and some various bits and pieces for people. But this is what I came up with. And again, this is using straight GW prices. It's 2,992 points. It's a Terror Assault Rite of War. You've got a generic Praetor who's got a Thunderhammer and the Paragon Blade, because that's what they all have. I got a Vigilator as well. I got 3 Apothecaries. I have 2 Contemptors, 2 Recon squads of 10, 2 10-man Terror squads. I was building those out of the Legion of Astartes battle group. And I did use the Spartan from the base set, but I was using the Recons as the Mark 6 guys. And I actually threw in an Atramenitar squad and Tartaros because they're not a great unit, but they're flavorful for the Night Lords. And I put them with the Praetor riding in the Spartan. And I gave them Lightning Claws on everybody or Thunderhammers on everybody. And it's entirely designed to play with night fight rules, infiltrate all the troops, run the Contemptor forward, run the 2 Contemptors forward, run the Spartan forward, have the Recon Marines pin down stuff with sniper rifles, and have the Terror Marine or have the Terror squads. Sit there and run up and shoot people and then charge them with Volkites, because I gave them Volkites. And it's designed to be in your face turn 2 while you can't shoot at them. Like I said, 747 or thereabouts, all GW bits, and not using discounts. I did not do a second list because, I forgot about all of it, but make a 3,000 point list as cheap as possible.
I will say, the Terminator list on my list, if you drop them out, it would probably put you right down around 3,000 points.
It still works.
But, yeah.
John?
I did not do any of this.
Oh.
You did more than me.
There we go. So there's our various lists. We need to revisit this a little bit more in depth, I think, in the near future, to talk about bringing your friends into Heresy. I think that'd be a good thing for us to do, and actually pay more attention to what I'm supposed to do. So, sorry, guys.
Well, I think the issue is we said you have to make a Word Bearers or Ultramarine list, and Duncan went,
Yeah, I had a brain aneurysm or something. I don't know.
And honestly, I'll note, I feel like, unfortunately, and maybe this is because the price on some surrounding components has gone up since
lot.
we did this original series. Or maybe it's just our understanding of the game has changed. I feel like the lists we did today were actually more expensive than the lists we did before. And that's that's why I'm trying to highlight that I think it's a problem from two directions, both from things getting more expensive and from us having a better understanding of what it takes to play the game in this edition, and those unfortunately not being cheap.
Well, the big thing is that the starter box had the stealth increase by a lot. So
what did it go from like 300 to 330? Was that about it?
No, it went from, I thought it was like 250 to it went up to 310.
Okay, yep. I mean, so you're looking at, depending on how you measure or count it, $30 to $60 increase, which is not nothing.
Right. And I mean, like there's been across the board increases on the prices of like everything, because like in the Ultramarines list, I had a Rhino, and not that you can even get them right now, but if you could, they're $50. They used to be $41, $42 when we did the list before.
What a better idea for something like this, especially since tax time is coming around, is you have $1,000. How are you going to build a list to be ready for a Adepticon?
You know, that might be the direction we end up going after Adepticon. That'll be a good chance for you guys to look at what people are actually playing, get a feel for how it plays, and then we may talk about that for like a late March show, or sometime in April, to look at, hey, you have $1,000. What do you build? And unfortunately, I think that already highlights part of the tragedy of where we are. Is last time we went a loose budget of $500, may have creeped up closer to $600, because we said what's the price of a game console. Not accounting for a second controller or a live subscription or any games for it. But seeing that we've drifted up about 50%, I think in and of itself kind of hits some community sentiment on the head.
Yeah, and I had to go screw it all up by staying under $500. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I could go back and redo it the same way you did. I mean, we all could, but like, it's just going straight prices.
I think like if I was going to go out right now and do it, I didn't have $1,000 in the bank, but I wanted to go with Duncan and you to Adepticon, and I needed an army, and you all said, hey, so long as it's in the spirit of it and it doesn't look too far out, do what you need to do. I did what I need to do.
Yep. Yeah, and it works.
It worked. Yep.
With that having been said, do we have any final notes as we kind of wind this episode down?
Here's to 2024.
Yep.
Here's to 2024. Listeners, go ahead.
I was going to say, I will post my lists up on either the Facebook page or one of our other mediums so that people can see what I did, because I have them in like an army builder app. Let's call it that. So that's fun.
We'll look for it. Listeners, thank you for joining us for our first episode of 2024. I'm Jacob, and on this, the 66th episode, I've been joined by
Duncan,
Jack,
Jamie,
John,
as well as a special guest,
good old Bryan.
And remember, stay accountable to your hobby and to your buddies, and we'll see you here next time.